They're trying to define you on this.
Yes,
I'm asking you to define yourself, though.
Yeah, like literally, that's the question. How will you operate? Okay? How will you operate? Not gonna lie, the Juggalos coming out helped quite a bit with Kamala's chances, you know? The Juggalos have officially endorsed Kamala Harris. This is true. And then Obama rapped Mom Spaghetti, and America was like, that's right, this is our time. This is correct. Meanwhile, Americans were like, at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break, and I have to avoid seeing those ads. I must subscribe. New in recent weeks, Republicans have flooded the airways with anti-trans attacks, but our new polling finds that voters would prefer a candidate who stays out of people's private lives over one who supports anti-trans legislation. When it comes to trans issues, voters trust Democrats more than Republicans. They say Republicans have the most extreme stance. Anyway, here's a 3-minute ad break now. 100% of voters no longer want to see the ads, and that's why they must subscribe for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting their Amazon Prime account to their Twitch account. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. So is there no problem with immigration? Are Republican and Democratic politicians discussing it in the same way? I thought that qualifying the problem, if one exists, isn't a bad idea. From what I've gathered from Vice President Harris, the problems are at no fault of immigrants. It's our ability to process immigrants are the problem. Similar to our problem at the top of the hour ad break. You were early, bud. Okay, you were actually too late, my friend. Anyway. Voters reject candidates who support anti-trans legislation. A candidate who says that we need laws that restrict access to transgender health care and keep biological boys out of girls' sports. All likely voters. A candidate who says that the government should stay out of people's private lives and that there's too much legislation targeting a small minority population. Every single person that has historically said, Hasan, you are wrong to tackle the trans issue when talking to transphobes with this exact line of communication is eating crow. For years, whenever motherfuckers come to me and they're like, whoa, this hyper specific thing about 3 trans participants in the fucking high school swim meet is the only thing we should talk about. What did I always say? Why do you fucking care about this, you goddamn loser? You're out of your fucking mind. Okay? You're out of your goddamn mind. No normal person gives a shit about this. You're a fucking deranged lunatic. You have been primed by right-wingers to act like you give a shit about this. Debate perverts love this shit. They loved it. They were like, we got to talk about this endlessly. We got to offer endless amounts of fucking content surrounding this issue and then concede to the right-wing framing on it. It's like, shut up. It is inconsequential. Sometimes things are a little off, okay? Things don't make a lot of sense immediately, okay? And people love picking apart those things. They love making you hyper-focus on it and try to fucking create a wedge issue there. You don't have to concede, okay? You do not have to concede. The trans panic was a perfect example of this. And some of you dumb fucks, even in this community, constantly fucking yelled about this shit. I will never forgive nor forget all of the fucking Bonercelli, Vosh, all of the fucking debate perverts out there who were like, Hasan, I can't believe you got owned by fucking Christian Walker. When I literally was like, you don't care about this. Can you tell me who was the second place winner in this fucking swim meet in this example that you're suggesting? You do not actually care about this. You don't. And everyone was like, oh, you got owned in that debate. No, I didn't, dumbass. No, I fucking didn't. This is the proper way to communicate on this issue. You do not have to constantly talk about this dumb nonsense. Nobody cares. Americans broadly think trans people are kind of weird. I don't really get it, but they're also getting dunked on unfairly. That's their opinion, okay? That's the opinion of the average American. They're like, I don't really understand it. It's weird to me, but like, I don't care enough to want to kill them or want to legislate them out of existence. Republicans, on the other hand, like the fucking monstrous delusional losers that they are spending a metric ton of fucking ads specifically on this issue. And it's very stupid. It is very stupid. Republicans literally broke their own possible red wave in the 2022 fucking midterms because they did this. They did this over and over again. And people were like, I don't care. You will never make me care about this. Okay? You come across like a mentally ill psychopath when you constantly talk about the woke gender shit that's going on in high schools, okay? You're obsessed and you can't see the world outside of your immediate horse blinders when you get fucking mentally ill and laser focused on trans existence, so much so that you know the latest and greatest in trans tech. You know the latest and greatest in like trans culture. You know more about trans people than actual fucking trans people. At that point, you've lost your mind. You've lost your dang mind. It's like weird. It's sexual pathology. It's like a hyper focus, a hyper fixation that comes across as gross to normal people. Okay? Like, which message resonates with voters meme, okay? Democrats want you to stay out of people's private lives in terms of, offering medical care to trans people. Or, we need to kill every trans person. We need to make sure that they are forcibly regendered to be their biological sex. They're stealing people's participation trophies in high school swim meets. I am going to now write state legislation that directly targets 3 trans 14-year-olds. This is my effort. This is my time. We need to send bomb threats to the children's hospital now. Which one is better? Which message resonates with voters, you think? Which message resonates with voters? You're a fucking weirdo, dude. You're a weirdo. You're a fucking weird freak. You're a nasty little pervert. I don't care. I don't want to hear from you. You fucking psychopath. If they present in the way that you did the second one, yeah, dude. Okay, good one. Let's not get angry about passive Ans Lamau, but yes, you were 100% right. Yes, I was always right. I'm always right. Too early, though. And to be right too early is basically being wrong, okay? That's what it is. Anyway, the other issue here is anti-trans ads are now #1 TV topic for the Trump campaign. The economy's #5. As Mark notes, it could either reset culture war politics for years to come in presidential races, or if Trump loses, go down as a major, even historical tactical blunder. Astonishing data point in this, Mark, a Capito piece. Since President Joe Biden left the race on July 21st, Republicans have spent about $120 million on ads attacking their Democratic rivals over trans issues. Okay? I gave a warning after the 2022 midterms. I said, either the Republicans are gearing up to make this the #1 culture war issue and they're going to fucking successfully break the brains of enough Americans that they also become little Matt Walsh style terrorists, okay, which is genuinely scary, even more scary than what America is going to look like in the next fucking 4 years. Or most people are going to look at this and be like, dude, I don't care. I just want fucking eggs to be cheaper, man. What the fuck? Just shut up. I don't want to even think about this. Okay? That's it. That's it. That's it. And it kind of seems like I'm right. Turns out most Americans just don't hate trans people the way Republicans desperately want them to. Americans fucking don't care. Okay? They do not care. 64% of Americans say trans people are discriminated against. You are fucking dumb. You are so echo chambered, so hug boxed by watching an unlimited amount of Daily Wire videos and only spending your time on Twitter. And you have deluded yourself into thinking other Americans also give a shit about this. Okay? They don't care. 64% of Americans think trans people are being discriminated against. That's crazy. That's like a fucking higher number than black people, dog. What the fuck are you talking about? Because it's true, but that's not the point. Like, it's obviously true, but think about that. Think about that. Like, how do you make that work? How do you make $120 million of trans panic ads work in an environment where 64% of Americans say trans people are being discriminated against? According to our new polling released today, a majority of voters and independents by 23-point margin think these ads have gotten out of hand. Voters agreed transgender people should be treated with respect and disagree with the use of anti-transgender political ads. Oh, another fucking Hasanabi vindication moment. How many times have I said this? And it's understandable that my trans chatters regularly get fearful because the deck is stacked against you. But how many times have I fucking duked this out with people in this chat? It's because anti-trans shit, once you go, there's two routes that you can take on the trans stuff, okay? You can either be like, yeah, they're weird, I don't get it, but let them live, who gives a fuck? Or you can be like, they're weird, they're actually undermining Western society, and I will make it my life's mission to like literally destroy them. And yes, I would say around 10% of Americans have hit that fucking right-wing slant, including the likes of Dave Chappelle, for example. And slowly but surely, they just never stop thinking about it. That's why I said, like, being a TERF is the actual mental illness. Like, being transphobic is the mental illness, the real mental illness, because, like, you just start thinking that there's, like, a trans person lurking in every fucking corner. You think, like, everything is trans, right? It becomes the only thing you think about. Now, that's a small percentage of people that are really, like, really motivated on this stuff. Okay? But that small percentage comes across as gross to the rest of society. They're like, what? Okay, stop. I don't want to even think about this. I don't want to think about, like, child mutilation. Like, that's insane. What the fuck are you talking about? This does not mean that Americans are fucking flag-bearing, pro-trans individuals. I've never said that. Make no fucking mistake. Okay? It just simply means most Americans are disinterested in this issue, and constantly harping on it over and over again makes them negatively polarized against you. Okay? Transgender people deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. 49% strongly agree. 25% somewhat agree. Strongly disagree 8%, somewhat disagree 10%. That's a net 56, dude. Republican candidates using anti-LGBTQ rhetoric as a part of their campaigns is sad and shameful. 41% of Americans strongly agree. 20% of Americans somewhat agree. Political attack ads against the transgender community have gotten mean-spirited and out of hand. 33% of Americans strongly agree. 21% of Americans somewhat agree. This data came from 1,200 votes. That's so funny. Yeah, you're right. 1,200 is not a statistically representative sample. What are we talking about? How is it that every time I look at any poll or any survey, okay, there are people who just fundamentally don't understand how statistics works? Like an entire field. And people just simply refuse to comprehend how this works. It's called a sample. Okay? 1,200 is an adequate sample size. Saç tıraşını ne diyorsun? Oh God, I don't want to even talk about that. Anyway. Stats need to be required at school? Yes. Huh. So why did I bring this up? Why did I talk about this? Because it's fucking dumb, and it is causing, in my opinion, for the Republicans to look even more extreme and more silly in all of the areas where they're pumping these fucking ads. Okay? Having said that, here's Kamala Harris on this issue from NBC, from the NBC interview. Kamala Harris is asked by Haley Jackson if transgender Americans should have access to gender-affirming care.
Let me ask you this question, very broadly speaking here.
Sure.
Do you believe that transgender Americans should have access to gender-affirming care?
I believe we should follow the law.
That's your answer, dude. You are running for president. The question is designed to see what you will do if you are president. Okay. You are the vice president right now. You are running for president. The question is not, will you follow the fucking law? The question is, what will you do if you are president? You make the law as president. What the fuck?
I mean, I think you're probably pointing to the fact that Donald Trump's campaign has spent tens of millions of dollars.
They're trying to define you on this.
Yes,
I'm asking you to define yourself, though.
Yeah, like literally, that's the question. How will you operate? Okay? How will you operate? The question is, what will you do? What will you fucking do?
Broadly speaking, what is your value? Do you believe they should have that access?
I believe that people, as the law states, even on this issue about federal law, that is a decision that doctors will make in terms of what is medically necessary. I'm not going to put myself in the position of a doctor.
Good. She should have said she should have fucking said, wait, what do you mean, huh? No, did I misunderstand? Yeah, she's saying, keep it between a fucking doctor and a patient. That's smart. She should have said that at the beginning. She's like, I don't think that we should be fucking putting ourselves as the big government, big scary government in these fucking decisions. Medical experts are making these decisions. You did? She's not saying that. She's saying follow the law. Yeah, but the point is the law as it stands currently is in favor of protecting. She's saying if your doctor doesn't think it's medically necessary, I'm not supporting you. I read it differently. I think that she said it's medically necessary. Yeah, I don't think that's a problem. Like, that is not a bad way to communicate this, okay? No, that is a fair way to communicate this, saying that medical professionals make this medical intervention when they deem it medically necessary, and that should be the law. That is the law, and that should remain the law, is the best possible way to say it. My only problem with this is that she didn't come out of the gate swinging with that. Like, this is a ridiculous line of questioning. I don't think that the government should interfere with the best standards and practices in terms of a medical decision that a professional doctor and a patient are coming together to arrive at, right? Is decent to liberal? It's not great, but as a trans person, it's good messaging to the regular voter. Yes, I think that this is the best pathway forward in terms of communicating trans issues. Like I said, a candidate who says that the government should stay out of people's private lives and that there's too much legislation targeting a small minority population and these decisions should be kept between a doctor and a patient and the government should not step in there is the best way to communicate, okay? Because the reality is that we don't do this kind of thing for anything else. We don't have these kinds of arguments for diabetics getting insulin, you know? Can you imagine? Christian medicalists decide, actually, no, like medical intervention cannot happen. You should pray it away. You should pray when you have a gunshot wound, we have to pray for it, okay? We cannot actually do medical intervention. And then they start trying to legislate this. You'd be like, what the fuck are you saying? What are you saying? We should just pray a gunshot wound away. Get the fuck out of here. It's no different. It's no different when we have this conversation with abortions. It's no different when we have this conversation with HRT for trans people. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The only difference there is most people understand, like, yeah, Christian medicalists are fucking psychopaths, and that a gunshot wound must get the proper fucking medical attention. Whereas people on the other hand are like, trans people are kind of weird, so maybe I'll hear it out. Except, turns out they don't. They don't want to hear it. They think it's gross when people fucking constantly harp on trans people. I think some chatters are falling into the opposite spectrum of Ben Shapiro on trans people, that all corners should get that care without any vetting that is appropriate, then it's appropriate. I don't know about that, and I don't really care about that right now anyway. But overall, I think that it's understandable that people are fearful that trans medicalism is also like somewhat of a dangerous prospect here as well, where you can just get like enough doctors to be like, yeah, actually, we shouldn't do any sort of fucking HRT whatsoever. And then all of a sudden, you're pushing the consensus in the opposite direction, and that's a fear that a lot of trans people have, I think, and that's an understandable fear that they have. But in terms of communicating, I think this is a solid way to do it. It still most likely leaves enough room to throw trans people under the bus come next election cycle. And that's an understandable fear that people have. I get that. Here was President Biden's message to trans people in 2022.
For our LGBTQ plus Americans, let's finally get the Bipartisan Equality Act to my desk. The onslaught of state laws targeting transgender Americans and their families. It's simply wrong. And I said last year, especially to our younger transgender Americans, I'll always have your back as your president so you can be yourself and reach your God-given potential.
That's like kind of wild. Like this man said in the first 100 days, put a bill in front of me and I'm signing a pathway to citizenship. I'm doing amnesty. I'm doing conditional amnesty to immigrants in 2020. And then in 2024, he's like, oh, look alive, Jack. I'm building the border wall.